Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another webinar with IronTree. Today, we're going to be talking about VoIP and everything that goes along with it. We've got our resident expert, Zach Lees, that's going to be running us through his presentation. Guys, this is a typical non-formal conversation about a difficult technical subject. We encourage you to make use of the Q&A on the Zoom application, and we hope you enjoy it. I see the guys are streaming in, so thank you very much for joining us. I think, Zach, when you're ready, you can get going. I see there's there's another 5 people in the queue. They're jumping in. All right, I think we're good to go. Zach, over to you.
Thanks, Jaco. Morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this fine Thursday morning. Like Jaco said, this is going to be quite an informal look at VoIP and VoIP telephony. And I think what I want to do is sort of just start off by demystifying some terms, in that maybe you hear a lot and you don't quite know about, or you do know about. So I'm sure some of you know about VoIP, and some of you know about cloud-hosted PBXs, and some of you don't know about any of that. So the first thing I'm going to do, of course, is tell you about these things. So the first thing we're going to look at, and obviously you're here, you got roped in by VoIP. So we're going to talk about what is VoIP? VoIP in its truest sense, and then what VoIP are we talking about? The first thing I'm going to do is just tell you what VoIP is. I'm sure a lot of you know it, but in case you don't know it, or in case you don't know it so clearly, VoIP is effectively just a rule. It's a protocol that allows us to take audio signals, the analog audio signals, like what I'm saying now, put it into ones and zeros, stream them across the internet, and decode them back into audio signals for you to hear. In its truest sense, what's happening right now, what I'm saying and what you're hearing, that's VoIP in work this very second. It's just the protocol that takes analog from analog audio to digital audio to analog audio again. What we're, however, talking about is VoIP telephony. VoIP telephony is basically the same thing, except it takes audio that you'd be maybe saying into a phone, and it's taking it from phone numbers. So instead of using an application like Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Skype, VoIP telephony allows us to really take that audio signal from anywhere and put it anywhere. So a VoIP telephony service allows us to make a call from my laptop, from IronTree's mobile number landline number, to your telecom fixed line, if that's what you've got, and vice versa. You can call VoIP from a fixed line. VoIP telephony is what allows us to do that. The next term that I think is fundamentally very important for a lot of us to understand. A lot of the time, you hear about a PBX or a cloud-hosted this and a cloud-hosted that. So what I'm going to just do first is just explain a PBX. I'll explain what a cloud-hosted PBX is and why cloud-hosted PBX doesn't necessarily mean that let me rephrase, why VoIP doesn't necessarily mean that's cloud hosting. So what is a PBX? A PBX is basically the switchboard. It routes telephony calls from the caller to the receiver. Think back to the olden times where you made a call and there was a receiver inside an office somewhere who'd actually take the wire from your call and plug it into the phone, receiving phone's like wire, and transmits the signal. That's what a PBX is. A PBX is that. What happens is, obviously, as time went on, we automated PBXs, so we didn't have to employ people to sit in cramped up control rooms and actually move signals from one side to another. But that was and is what a PBX is. It's the routing device. It's the signal switcher and router. What a cloud-hosted PBX is that, except it's not even physical. It's completely online. So there's 3 tiers. There's 3 tiers of PBX. Really. There's the person-controlled PBX, the now automatic box that maybe is sitting in your office somewhere. It's dusty. It's in a closet or whatever. And then there's the cloud-hosted PBX. Now, a lot of the time, what happens is when you get introduced to VoIP and office VoIP and VoIP telephony for your office and things like that, the VoIP providers are still providing a box. which makes your VoIP static. It functions the same way as a copper lines system, except it's now just VoIP. It's still routed to your office and it's still geolocation level, it's geo-based. It's tied down to a location, right? What cloud hosting a PBX allows us to do is to dismantle that that's stuck in the same place telephony infrastructure. Right. So I hope that sort of has explained those terms in a way that makes them a bit more understandable and relatable to where we're going to be going next. And the next thing I want to talk about is VoIP in South Africa specifically. So, I mean, right now we're in this strange position in South Africa where VoIP has this awkward reputation. I'm sure a lot of you have tried VoIP maybe 5 years ago and gone, it's quite a bad experience. I didn't like it so much. The connectivity was bad, or the service providers weren't there for me. And so VoIP has a strange reputation where we think it's pretty bad. But the reality, of course, is that 5 years ago, our South African internet infrastructure was just nowhere near what it is today. We had 4G and LTE for 3 years. It hadn't rolled out fully. Fiber was just beginning to roll out, so a lot of people didn't have it. But what was happening was that these early VoIP providers were looking at this market that was happening in Europe and America, where the internet infrastructure was really there for it, and they were going, right, we're going to hop onto this trend, and we're going to start providing VoIP to all these South African businesses. But what they weren't doing was really considering whether it was feasible to provide VoIP to businesses. And what they'd do is they'd take a telecom approach. They'd sell this fantastic cheap product, and they go, cool, you've got it. Log your tickets in the queue. We'll support you eventually, right? So what happened was VoIP was given this really poor reputation as this product that didn't work. Now, however, we're in a much better place in South Africa with regards to our internet infrastructure, where fiber is rolled out on a mass scale. You can get fiber almost anywhere. LTE and 4G on top of that have also been rolled out on a far mass scale. So a fallback is also available in a way that wasn't necessarily before, right? So now we're in this much better position where our infrastructure can handle it on a much grander scale. South Africa is now fully equipped to be handling VoIP on a mass scale and mass amounts of VoIP calls. So that's sort of where VoIP is now, and that's I just wanted to sort of maybe initially address some concerns that a few of you might have about VoIP, because of its reputation. The next thing I want to look at, right, is now I've sort of looked at what maybe is troubling a little bit. I want to sort of talk about some of the benefits of why a cloud-hosted VoIP system now, and this is, if you remember the cloud-hosted PBX allows us for cloud-hosted VoIP. What does that allow us to do? What benefits can we have as businesses from this kind of technology? And there's three sort of key features that I think I certainly like the most. And those are of full mobility, of cost reduction, and of advanced analytics features. So the first thing I'm going to look at for you is mobility. What does a cloud-hosted PBX allow us to do mobility-wise? Well, quite a lot, actually. The first sort of mobility point that I want to talk about is intra-city office infrastructure setups. What a cloud-hosted solution allows us to do is to replicate a traditional office telephony setup, except span it over cities or across neighborhoods or whatever, right? So for instance, if we look at IronTree, I'm sure you guys have called IronTree before. We've got one landline number, but we've got two offices. We've got one in Cape Town and one in Joburg. That one landline number is connected to both offices, right? That's the benefit of a cloud-hosted PBX. That means our switchboard is nowhere physical. It's not routing any calls physically from anywhere. We can send our calls anywhere. So if you want to get in touch with one of our Joburg support technicians, you call the IronTree support number, and we'll page you through to a technician in Joburg maybe. Or if you want to get through to a specific technician based in Cape Town, that support number takes you to the same technician. But it goes beyond that, because that's quite like a basic setup, right? What happened at the beginning of this year? Everyone knows what happened at the beginning of this year. We went into this hard lockdown, and businesses were just disrupted immensely. But what we were able to do, and this is not supposed to come across as some sort of like braggy thing, it's just we were in this position where we were able to do it. We've been running a cloud-hosted VoIP telephony system for a while. We sent our employees home. They all downloaded either an app or for their phone or for their computer, and they connected to our PBX. And IronTree supports system and our call center never went down. Everyone was able to access it from wherever they were. They just needed an internet connection and their login to the app or the cloud, the computer program, right? And that's really cool, because that allows us to sort of, in this new, it is a new world where we're not sure where we're working every day. Today I might be in the office, tomorrow I might be at home, or tomorrow I might even get a call out and have to drive. I'm in Cape Town, by the way. I might have to drive to Somerset West tomorrow. But I'll be able to take calls on my cell phone for IronTree as IronTree, because my cell phone is connected to this hosted PBX. I can be literally on the road and in access. So it allows us to foster this habit of business continuity that maybe wasn't possible with our telephony systems before. The next point is that of cost reduction. Most people will say cost reduction should be your first point, but I think mobility is really cool, because I think it's pretty cool that I've got it on my phone. But the next thing, and I think for many businesses, especially now, we're looking for ways to cut our costs and still provide excellent services and things like that. And what having a hosted telephony solution allows us to do is to cut those costs. There's no dusty old box sitting in a closet that's routing your calls. There's no physical equipment. So that allows us to not have to charge maintenance fees. We don't have any, you're not going to have anything physically break, and you're not going to be calling a technician out to your office to fix your PBX. It'll be online. And because it's online and because it's part of the support infrastructure, what you're paying for at the outset already covers any additional maintenance. There's no added maintenance fees. On top of that, because there's no physical PBX and there's no physical equipment to maintain, there's also no physical lines for calls to go through. So we can charge less for call costs. Compared to a traditional copper line, we're effectively cutting the rates per minute in half, and everyone is realistically, but we're able to not be charging these fees because everything's hosted online. Even international calls are cheaper, calls to mobiles cheaper, calls to everything is cheaper due to this lack of physical infrastructure. It's a really cool way to replicate everything you might have, but with a cheaper mechanism. Then the third thing, and this is, I understand, maybe for a more advanced position, but it's handy for everyone in some way, shape, or form, is the analytics features. The two I've sort of highlighted for this is the two that I think are most relevant for any business. And that's of call recordings and agent tracking. On the left, we see the technical support screen. That's our agent tracking, and those are 3 of our agents, and those are some of the calls they were making yesterday. And on the right is a list of some of the calls we recorded yesterday, or some of the calls we recorded yesterday between 2 and 3 p.m. So what does that allow us to do? Call recordings are useful for a host of scenarios, but the first and most obvious one is that of training. If you've got a new person working in your company, and maybe they're in the sales center, or if you're not a sales center size company, maybe they're just in the office next door, and they're making calls to customers and clients, and you realize, oh wow, this agent is making a huge amount of successful sales. I need to find out what other people in my office are doing wrong, and what they could be doing right to replicate that. You can look through your call recordings and download them, replay them, and see what's going on. On top of that, it's also a great way if you're dealing with sensitive information. Sometimes you need to be recording the calls. It allows that sort of thing. The next thing, which is tied to it in some way, shape, or form, is the agent tracking, individual agent tracking. You can see I've got 3 of our guys pulled up, Dean, Grant, and Elvin, and on the technical support columns, there's the queues they're in, there's the unanswered calls they've done, the answered calls they've done, the total call time they've done, and the average call time they've done. And this is this was for yesterday, as of yesterday at around 2:30 p.m. So this isn't true over their entire calling career, shall we say. And it allows us to look at, okay, cool. They're all in the same 5 queues because they're all in the same support team. Here's all the calls they didn't answer. Here's the calls they did answer. And, how long are they spending on the calls? So what we can do is we can go, hey, Grant, you missed 6 calls yesterday. What happened? But we can also see, oh, damn, Grant was on the phone for 20 minutes. They're all in the same queues. Those 6 calls don't necessarily go to Grant. They're just being answered in and around the queues. But point being is we can really break down everything. What's happening with our agents. And those are the 2 sort of universal features that everyone might be very interested in.
Zach, I just quickly want to intervene there.
Sure.
If you don't mind, you can take a sip of water. So one thing that I found quite valuable in analyzing these kind of stats with IronTree is, as Zach mentioned, for training purposes, this is immense. There's a very, very cool function inside this program that they call it the whisper function, which means that if you've got an agent in training, you are, as a manager or supervisor, you're actually able to listen to that call in conjunction with the live agent call, and you're actually able to guide that person through a difficult situation or advice or whatever. You're actually able to whisper in that person's ear. And then as the supervisory agent on that call, you're actually able to take over that call at any point in time. So I know it sounds very big brotherish, etc., but for a very active support sales environment, this is immense because you're fast tracking your training. You're giving guys confidence that they're able to actually, they know you've got their back when they need to get assistance, but you're actually able to kind of manage it in a very proactive way. So that's one aspect I wanted to mention. The other aspect is when you actually evaluate one of the support agents, you are able to actually now get business intelligence by seeing how long they take calls. I mean, we could very easily now go to Grant and say to him, Grant, explain to us that call that you had yesterday. It took 21 minutes. Just kind of unpack it a little bit. And then we're actually able to get business intelligence from that one interaction. And we can understand what was the issue, how can we make it go faster next time? Did we phone the client phone us? All these kind of analytical attributes we can actually now unpack and kind of make a higher level business decision on that. So I just wanted to add that to
yeah, those are actually pretty valuable additions, I must say. I nearly said it and then it slipped my mind. I'm really glad you said that, because that function of being able to listen in on a call or whisper to your agent without the customer hearing, it's a really fantastic tool for training. And then there's also actually the last thing that I'll mention about the call recording, and this is just a personal thing that I do, but it's also pretty handy if you're lazy and you don't feel like writing. You record every single call you take. You don't have to ever remember a single number to call back, because you can put down the phone, listen to it and go, there's my number. Brilliant. It's a really great thing, especially if you're on the move. I'm often in my car. I take calls. I record everything, no matter what, just in case I need to call a new number from a new number. That's a personal thing, though, not necessarily and everything. The next part I wanted to look at, and I hinted at it earlier, I wanted to talk about really like the actual physical savings. So on the right, you can see this is a screenshot of a calculator we've built into our website, so you can actually look at it and enter your own numbers and details yourself and see what your actual savings would be. But I just wanted to highlight really the exact level of savings. So what I've done is I've taken our most popular package. So if you look on the left, this is a bit of go-between, but if you look on the left, the top right corner, IronTree Full. That is the most popular package we have. It's also, in terms of features, it's got quite a lot of handy features. I'll be back and explain those all in just a moment. But I've taken that and I've taken the average cost of calling on that, which is 39 cents per minute. That's an average of 49 cents per minute to cell phones and 29 cents per minute to landlines. And that's there. And what you can do is you can enter your minutes per month. And let's say you're making 3,000 minutes of calls per month. You'd be saving about 1,100 Rand just on those calls compared to what Telkom would charge you for that same call level on their fixed line, a 0.79 cents per month basis, which is astronomical. And that, again, that's not mentioning the maintenance fees that they'll be charging for the physical PBX as well. And a lot of static VoIP providers also will be charging those physical maintenance fees for their PBX. So that's quite a cool thing. And what we'll do is when we send the recording of this webinar, afterwards, we'll also attach the direct link to the calculator. So you can see for yourself exactly, because I understand it's difficult to, in your head, pull maths and go, oh, I need to figure this out real quick. So we'll send that link along with this. The next thing is on the left, we can see the pricing structure of the packages. The top two are realistically, they're the most popular. The IronTree Lite is a base extension, and these are the monthly costs of each extension, by the way. The base extension of 65 Rand, that allows calls, obviously, that's what we deal in. It allows calls, voice mailbox. Mailbox is actually the word I'm looking for. Very basic features. It's as close to an exact match for what your just a single fixed telecom line would be. It's super close to that. The IronTree Full is an upgraded version of that, which comes with a host of analytics features, tracking and stuff like that. Call recording can be, by the way, enabled on every function. It's an extra cost, but that can be recorded and enabled on any of these things. The next thing we look at is the IronTree Contact Center Agent and the Contact Center Agent Dialer. These are for your call center level businesses. They're packed with features, with just an astronomical amount of features, and that's effectively a demo of the product in and of itself, is just going through everything that comes along with those guys. So what I would advise is for everyone who has a call center and wants to understand that more, to book a session with me, and I can walk you through each and every individual thing bit by bit, instead of trying to jam pack it in and clutter whatever's going on, because it is quite a dense matter. But those are both feature rich, packed top and bottom with a huge amount of details. So again, we'll pop through a booking link as well for after that, if you'd like to talk more about the contact center agent and agent dialers. Another thing that I actually failed to mention, and it just popped up in my head now as I mentioned voice boxes, and it's something that someone I was talking to just the other day showed an immense amount of interest in, and it never occurred to me how cool it was. And this is actually just backing a little bit to the features, and I'm sorry about that. But the way that we've set up this voice box and this mailbox structure is really cool, because what happens if you miss a call, for instance, is when customers leave a message, that message gets recorded and sent to your email address. So you don't have to be pulling up things on your phone when you've got a moment in your day to look through your emails and go, cool, I need to catch up on missed calls. All of your missed calls and voicemails will be in there. I think that's quite a powerful tool, and a lot of people think that that's quite a handy thing to look at. The next thing I'm going to be looking at, and it's something I should obviously be looking at, and I'm sure everyone is very interested. How easy is it to move from one service provider to IronTree Voice or to VoIP in general? What the process always starts with, we'll find out what your internet access is like, and if it's ready for VoIP, we'll go and say, brilliant, we'll start discussing. What happens is this, actually. Let's walk you through. What will happen is you'll speak to me, probably. I'm the consultant. We'll talk about what you need from VoIP, what you're looking for. Then we'll move into that said internet audit. We'll just double check that your internet's fine, and then we'll go into the sign-up process. The sign-up process is fairly straightforward. It's a pretty easy form. I'm confident in saying it's about a 5-minute form filled by yourself. If you need help, it's a 5-minute form full with me on the phone, as well. Then we implement number porting. Number porting is the process of taking that landline number from Telkom or whoever it may be at and hosting it with us. Legally, that takes 7 to 21 days. There's nothing we can do about that, but what's really great about that time is that most providers require a month to cancel their pre-existing contracts. So in that 21-day process, we start as soon as it officially begins. So we get dates from the porting company. That's a third-party neutral business that does porting for everyone in South Africa. We get dates from them, and once those dates are selected, we say, okay, cool. We're going to start building the PBX. We do everything back end. We build whatever features you need. We set up your logins. If you want physical VoIP phones that actually sit on your desk, we pre-configure those. And then we send them to you. We send them to you with your logins and everything. You plug them into your office. If you've got a tech guy, your tech guy does that stuff. If you need support and it's really pressing, we can make arrangements to help you out with that. It's plug and play. Then the porting finishes. You can start making calls. Once your calls are going, you cancel your telecom and you're good to go. You're done. That's it. It's a really straightforward process. The length of time is determined entirely by the porting process that we've got no one has control of. That's the neutral third party that everyone needs to deal with. That is the real length of time process. Everything else, you basically do nothing. We'll hold your hand through everything. We build everything for you, and post implementation, we provide full support. Queries come to us, fixing comes to us, anything that needs to happen with your phone system comes to us. It's a really cool, straightforward and easy process. Then of course, we've got some more reading on VoIP and what we've got. So for instance, why VoIP has a bad reputation. I actually just expanded on a slide earlier and I wrote a full blog. There's some extra benefits of VoIP telephony. There's why would you even go to VoIP telephony in case you want some more reading on that kind of thing. And that's not all. We've obviously got more content coming all the time that will keep all of you up to speed with what's happening in the world of VoIP, why this is this and why that is that. So yeah, this has been a quite straightforward. I've covered pretty much, well, not pretty much, I've covered all my slides, and I think the floor can be open to any questions that you all might have. Jaco will take those questions and pop them right now and I'll answer them, or however it may be. Jaco, is that right?
Yeah, that's perfect. The mechanisms we've got is set up that way. So Zach, yeah, no, I think that was really informative. Guys, let me just take a step back here for a second. We've officially launched IronTree Voice about a month and a half ago. We hand selected a couple of customers that we wanted to communicate this to, but the feedback that we got was that of a bit of a confusion. People had more questions than anything else, and this stemmed the reason for us having this this kind of informal chat with everybody. I think this is a good way to communicate difficult technical subjects. We've kind of established our webinar expertise in the beginning of lockdown. I don't know, most of you might have attended one or two of our webinars in the beginning of the year, but this format really works for us and our customers find it quite engaging. So be on the lookout for this format. We're going to continue this going forward into the new year. Zach is new to the company, but he's really taken this VoIP mantle and driving it extremely well. We are going to be introducing a couple of new functionalities as the product matures, as the solution kind of takes shape. So yeah, stay in touch with us. I'm going to leave the floor open. I think, yeah, we've got a first question.
I can actually also see the question, so you don't even have to worry about reading that to me. I didn't realize that. Okay, so personally, I've never done a webinar before, so I actually didn't know how the question answer system works. So here we go. So the first question is, how can you help set up the system in Zambia? So what I would do is, Brittle, you and I'll send you an email after this. We'll have a chat, and we still do any developing because it's online, all the software and hosted bits we can still build outside. What we need to do is chat to you, and we'll do some research into literal providers in Zambia for hard phones. If you want hard phones, if you want to just do a cell phone app or a computer app, we can actually facilitate a full setup for you in Zambia, but we'll obviously still be here. So it's a complete possibility. After this, I'll send you an email and we can liaise and make some plans and chat further. If that's cool for you, let me know if that's helped you, or otherwise, if you want me to answer some more and go into some more detail, just pop that through here as well.
Yeah, just to add to that question, Zach, I think what's important in a question like that is obviously just to understand the number porting functionality as well. I mean, putting in a blank system with a brand new number, I think would be quite simplistic. We just have to dive into a little bit understanding the number porting in certain countries. But yeah, it's a cool question. So let's see if we can assist you. Cool.
Okay.
Any other questions? Ricky, questions from your side. Jan, you're quite vocal. I'd love to hear from you. So yeah, let's leave the floor open for another 5 minutes or so, and then
cool.
And then we can sign off.
Cool.
Right, Lisbeth is asking, so if you have three extensions, each with a VoIP handset and customer calls, which phone rings? Well, Lisbeth, I'm going to try to answer this question, and Zach might tell me how wrong I am. But so it all depends on how you set up your queues. So you can give priorities to certain numbers or certain extensions. For instance, you've got a receptionist or you've got a kind of personal assistant, whatever the case may be. You can set up those extensions and queues as you need to, so that it makes sense in your business. So if the first extension is occupied, it will fall over to the next one, and so forth and so forth. So it's really based on your setup. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, Yaku's perfectly right. So what we're able to do back end is to build exactly to your specifications. So if you go, I need employee A to answer this first, and then employee A routes any calls to wherever they need to go, then we set it up like that. If theoretically you want all three employees to have the ability to answer at the exact same time, we'll set up something called a ring group. And when that ring group is active, it means all three phones ring at the same time. Whoever picks it up first gets the call. So it's dependent on however you want to set it up, but we set priorities and queues and ring groups and things like that.
And then a follow-up question from Lisbeth is, how easy is it to change that order? So I'm going to jump the gun here again. So Lisbeth, this is the wonderful world we live in. So because it's a cloud-hosted solution, you will receive logins to your infrastructure. And you're able to actually just go in there, change queues. If somebody's on leave, you basically take them out of the queue, or you put a forwarding onto their extension. So it is literally as if you're logging into a application that you're used to using. And
but Yaku, I'll pause you there for a second, because Lisbeth,
changes with the mouse.
We would do that for you. You tell us what you want to do, and we'll just do it up. We'll do that for you should you wish. So you don't actually even need to do it yourself. Sorry, Yaku, I didn't mean to interrupt there, but I thought that would be handy to mention.
No, that's very valid. Patel's also asking a follow-up question.
Yes.
Are the call rates cheaper than cell rates? Our landlines are fading away and is now on cell phone. So if you're referring directly again with Zambia, I think we just need to kind of upskill our research a little bit on that. Zach, can you maybe just talk to that point?
Yeah, so in general, call rates are cheaper than cell phones, but again, what I'll do is I'll pop you an email, and I'd be very curious if you'd possibly be able to break those down, or I can do some research into call rates in Zambia myself and tell you exactly the rate comparisons. Our rates would remain the same. So we could transfer it to, we'd like obviously do a currency comparison, but the equivalent of 29 cents and 49 cents per minute in Rand will be whatever we'll charge you in your currency in Zambia. So we'll look into that, and I think that is it possibly and probably will be cheaper. Rick. I just will I have access to all my contacts? Can I call my colleagues? Is there a cost? Yeah, so that's actually quite a good couple of questions. You do have access. So using the phone app gives you access to all the numbers you've stored in on your phone. So I've got on my phone all of the contacts that I have on my phone. So if you're based on a cell phone and you've been conducting your business on a cell phone the past while, you don't have to worry about transferring all those contacts to the app again. And actually what's quite cool is if you save any of those contacts, if you want to, you can save those contacts directly to your PBX, or we'll call it a TMS, which is the management system, the back end. You can save those contacts to that and have them universal contacts, which means it doesn't matter where you are calling from, those contacts will exist. And then, yeah, that's also a fantastic question, Rick. Internal costs are free. So any phone that is set up within the PBX infrastructure is free. So me to call Yaku, even if I'm on the road, I don't pay those minutes at all. I can call Yaku from my extension to his, and it's a free call internally. Fantastic questions, actually.
Yeah, definitely. Well placed there, Rick. It's an undercover agent that we placed with those questions. All right, guys. I think that's everything. Any other questions popping up? Otherwise, I think we'll sign off. All right. Appreciate your time. We don't want to keep you longer than what we should.
Thank you.
Zach, yeah, appreciate it. Guys, look out for our email with the recording. Feel free to forward it on to colleagues. If there's directors in your company or kind of additional support agents you want to share this with, feel free. We've got an open line of communication. And yeah, Warren, thanks for the compliment. Jan, thanks for the compliment. Glad you guys enjoyed it. Have a super day and be safe out there. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks so much.